when you have to push hard on them and say, you've got to level up, you might be bringing a 5, level commitment, performance, routine, whatever it is you're pushing them on, and we've got to be at a 10.
This is the Gold Medal Mindset, where we bring you all things winning in business, sport, and life. I'm Dr. Jason Richardson, pro BMX world champion and Pan Am Games gold medalist. Now I'm a professional speaker, author, and winning mindset coach. Thanks for joining in. Get ready to mine for gold as we challenge your perception to change your results. I'm going to introduce this guest who, as you may have guessed it, I'm super excited to have Miss... Or is it Mrs.? I think it's Miss Darleen Santore, the coach, the founder and CEO of Performance at Higher Degree. That's P.H.D. A life and leadership coaching and consulting company designed to motivate, inspire, and awaken greatness in others. And I said, well, dang, that's definitely some gold medal mindset stuff. Darleen, thank you for being on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing really great. Thanks so much for having me on. That kind of intro, I'm already fired up.
You want to so when I do intros, I want to make it to where the person being introduced would hire themselves.
Yes. That's it. I'm hiring myself right now.
Well, in the world of entrepreneurship, that's kind of the deal, right? You buy yourself
Yes.
a career, and then you have all these jobs and tasks so that you can go do your work.
Exactly. I love it. I'm so excited though to be on, and I love the work that you're doing. So thanks for having me on.
No problem. And full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had a conversation. Geez, it was probably months ago. Because we share a friend, Shannon Hernandez. He introduced us. We had a conversation. Really, we're just kind of talking shop and getting to know each other. And I probably should have pressed record on that conversation. However, here we are now. But yeah, I figured, I definitely have to have you on the show. And like I said, in full disclosure, honestly, coming from my background, racing bikes and sports and that, a lot of dudes end up on the show. And don't get me wrong, but it's been a bit testosterone heavy.
Uh-huh.
And I said, but I didn't want to have a woman for having a woman's sake. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I want
right.
to have somebody who has who can carry their weight, who's deep,
Yes.
who comes strongly, and here we are. There we go. That was like even
I'm
a
used to
second
this.
intro.
I'm kind of used to it because being in sports and just the world that I'm in, it is mostly a male-dominated world, but I could hold my own. I may only be 5'2", but it works.
I know you can hold your own. So I mean, let me just start out by saying this. It seems like, if I follow you and when I follow you on social, on Instagram, everyone's lurking on everybody in the social world. The one thing I get, other than the impact you're having, because I see the impact you're having on with your clients and the work you're doing, is that you seem to make it look like a lot of fun.
It is fun. It's all about living life at your fullest potential, living life all out. And, we hear that a lot, but I always joke and I say, you wouldn't go to a broke financial planner, so you probably shouldn't go to a life coach and motivator who's not living it. So I make it work. Anything that I share that I've either learned by a great mentor that's been passed on to me or maybe that I've created, I apply it. And I'm going to apply the things that work and see what happens. So by the time I deliver it to someone, it's already been tested. And, you've got to make your days the best you can. And obviously we'll talk, but the world that I started in was traumatic brain injury, helping the patients that came into the hospital every day, where they had everything flip upside down on them. And I would be in the middle of crisis with them, helping them through. And so helping people go from coma to life, actually, to now helping people wake up going from coma to life, I apply it both. I make it fun. I'll push hard, but we'll have fun doing it. And just as you said, as an entrepreneur, when you choose to go this route, to go help people and you create a team, you got to have fun doing it, because you could be in the middle of crisis helping people. You could be helping people to reach the top of their game. You don't know where your day is going to go, but at least love what you're doing, because anything else is selling yourself short.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's interesting because sometimes, especially in your business, I would imagine there's times where you're sitting across from that powerful person, or at least strong-minded person, whether they're powerful or not. And you have to have that hard conversation. So let me push back a little bit. How do we have that hard conversation with people, right? They want to they want to make the change. You know, they need to make the change. How do we have that hard conversation and keep it fun?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to have built trust with that person. Because before you could start pushing on someone, they have to feel like they could trust you and what you're bringing is going to work. Because if you don't have that trust, by the time you go to have that hard conversation, they're not going to know where that intention's coming from. So now you build the trust. When you have to push hard on them and say, you've got to level up. You might be bringing a 5, level commitment, performance, routine, whatever it is you're pushing them on, and we've got to be at a 10. And when you start pushing hard and saying, like, it's time for you to level up and raise the bar, they know that it's coming from a good place and you genuinely care for them. So once they know that, it's not going to make the conversation completely easy, but at least they're going to trust you to say, she cares about me, at least to help me get to the next level. And then, I always add humor in things. If I push a little, I might add a little bit of joke or give a smirk or something, or pat them on the back or do something so they know, like, I got you and we're in this together. And it kind of alleviates a little bit of, I'm not by no means ever pushing someone down. I'm trying to raise them up, and they know that. Sure. And that's where I think the difference comes, because it's all in the tone, the intention, and the delivery, and the heart when you're going to coach someone and coach them up. So I think that's the way to deliver it. And so it comes in an effective way while it still has some life to it.
I agree. I like that you said that even when you deliver it, you give them I would call it more of a neurological trigger. It's kind of, in education, they would call it brain-based learning, but adding that extra smirk, pat on the back, whatever it is, not only does it might lessen the blow, but literally from a brain standpoint, it actually helps solidify that lesson. Yes. Which is
100%.
Which is kind of cool. You kind of slip that in there. Some people might call that manipulative, but since it's for their benefit, we won't say that.
No. And from a neuro standpoint, we know it's going to help. So, you got to do the things that they may not understand, but all of a sudden they're like, gosh, that really helped me through it. And you're like, okay, it's okay. Because it's what we know will work.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too, what I like about it is it's natural from you. It's not like you're doing it like you read it out of a textbook. I can really tell that it's part of how you roll, which is nice. Yeah. So, well, let me ask you this: what's the favorite thing? What's the most favorite thing about what you do?
It is really seeing the transformation. It's the transformation process. So, like I said, when I was in the hospital treating patients, and you'd see them start every day to come through it a little bit more, and it was a process. But when you saw them recover, you saw them get to their highest level of function, and the smile back on their face, and their eyes light up, and the family come together, and there's just that transformation is that same kind of joy and celebration as when a team, wins the championship and they grow and they see the momentum. That kind of momentum is exciting. And so growth is exciting to me, and seeing someone achieve what they've set out to and you being just a small part of that. It's serving. It's when you give, you get back. So when you're helping someone rise up, you feel that with them. So then move it now to clients today. When you see them start to make the transformation and hit the goals and beat fear and overcome the odds and just defy it all and reach where they've always wanted to be, but they never believed they could, or they just had something hold them back and you help them just see another way, there's just nothing better than that feeling. I mean, it's why I get up every day, to awaken greatness in them and for them to do it.
So speaking of growth, since you mentioned it, how does one go from... You said you're working with people with traumatic brain injury in hospital.
Yep.
And here you are, no pun intended, literally on the big stage, helping, CEOs, helping professional athletes level up. How does one go from literally from being in the ER to, or not the ER, but post ER to being on stage? I mean, that's an amazing growth in and of itself, no?
Yes, and I think it's actually a good. It's an example of life is not always just this straight line. It actually goes in like a very. If I'm kind of drawing with my hand right now, and it kind of goes up and down and around, and then but it's still leading up. It just has all these different kind of curves. And when you set out just following your passion, your calling, which was to helping people originally, which I'm still doing, I then got asked the opportunity to move into a healthcare realm, which was leading a healthcare company, which then I was asked to then coach artists in the music business, because all of it was helping people through the mental side of it and the cognitive side of it and relational and culture and people. And so I just kept getting asked to move and to help. And it was in way different arenas than I ever thought possible. But I found that my skill set fit in no matter what genre or what, I guess, niche in business and in life and in sports, because it all was about the person. And that's when it became clear to me that there was something here that I could actually continue to help people out of the traditional realm of the hospital walls. And to be honest, too, at age 25, I had my own stroke, which the irony of it all is just nuts. But
wow, at 25?
Yeah,
wow.
Yep, it was crazy. And that's when I was still treating in the hospital. But all to say that moment allowed me to understand adversity at a much greater level than I ever knew before. And the things that proceeded after that, that followed after that, it just allowed me to dig deeper and find out, how was I really going to make an effect change? Because I knew I was helping people, but I said to myself, after going through some adversity, I've got to do it in a way that I feel is just on a bigger scale, that I could reach more people. And that's what led me to telling my story, which led me to speaking on smaller stages, which over time has led me to bigger stages now. And then just through the people that I started to help one after another, it's become word of mouth. And I think that it's been a great journey, and I could never have projected that it would have gotten where it is and hopefully where it's going to go. But it's through those life stories, the adversity, and then also all the people that I've helped and thankfully their success and how we've all grown through it. That's allowed me to do what I do today.
Man, so I have to go back to the stroke, because 25, I'm sorry. I mean, I heard everything
I know.
else. I did.
Yeah. No, but it is one of those
so,
things that doesn't fit usually.
Generally, no.
Mm-mm.
So did it, I mean, obviously it took you by surprise, but I mean, what was the aftermath of that? I mean, so you're in a hospital setting, helping people become healthy. Your health kicks you in the butt. You have a stroke. And then, I mean, what was the recovery like? You said you understood what they were going through on a greater level. I love using the term cellular level, because at that point you really truly felt it. But yeah, I mean, 25, because at 25 you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go out with my friends, maybe,
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of the way
you think life is just you have it at your hands. I was married at the time. We had just bought the book, What to Expect, What You're Expecting. We were going to start a family. And I ended up I had hurt my back and lifting a patient. I was just getting some treatment on it. And so one of the things that I did do is I went to go get chiropractic care. And this is not a knock on chiropractic care, because I still have friends that are, and I still go to one, because people said, you must be crazy. But in that, when they manipulated my neck, they ripped my vertebral artery. And I didn't know that I was bleeding at the time, because the bleed was a slow bleed in the vertebral artery. So I did not have any paralysis, but I did have loss of balance and vision. And that's the first sign that came on was the floor flipped upside down, and the floor was the ceiling, and the ceiling was the floor, and I could not see where to walk. And I was actually in the hospital treating when it happened. but I didn't go and seek help right away. And I speak on behalf of Dignity Healthcare now as for just spreading awareness on stroke, even though I was a therapist treating stroke patients. But you just think at that time, like, I must have a sinus infection. Something's wrong. Right. And the symptoms were kind of letting off and then coming on because as the blood pressure would flow through until eventually the blood pooled so much that it occluded the vertebral artery and it blocked the blood supply. And that's when I ended up going into the hospital. But all to say that I did not have paralysis. I did not have to go through the rehab that a traditional full, paralysis type patient might go through. But I had to do my recovery, and I had to go through and get some treatments and, work on I had to change my life a lot actually at that time. I still continued to treat and be a therapist, but I couldn't do some of the things that I did. I was very active in sports and athletics and just how I just trained my body, and I had to let it slow down a lot at that point because I couldn't increase my blood pressure. So that took a hit. I couldn't have children after, and there was just a lot of challenges that kind of came around it. But it helped me to slow down, to reset so that I could speed back up. And I don't mean that took like that. I figured that out in days. That took over a few years. But our adversity helps us. Our test becomes our testimony, and our mess becomes our message. So it helps fuel you.
Wow. That's similar. A stroke, because I have a cousin who passed away, and she was young with a stroke. And to me, and I was in my 20s at that time, and to me, that was something that older people had, or unhealthy people had, or, it's just so these things, and I'm saying life, right?
Yeah.
Blindsides us. And it's almost like, not only are you put to the test, because I think everyone kind of is, but it's almost like your stuff is put to the test, literally. It's you know what I mean? It's like, okay, here you are, helper person, helping these people, saying these things. Let's see if you can really use your stuff on you.
Oh, 100%. And you're going to mess up and you're going to trip even yourself because no one's perfect. And man, I learned from my mistakes going through it. And life still will always throw us curveballs like that. And it's just going to come in different forms. And that is, like you said, it really puts us to the test. But it's how quickly can you get up? You could feel it. You could get hurt. You could trip. But you got to rebound, and you've got to get up and get back up and get in that momentum shift and create that shift in your mind so that you can go forward. And that's having your purpose and knowing what you want helps get you to rebound a lot faster. But you learn that through time.
Wow. So would you say you're at full capacity now?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I feel great now.
So I have to ask this, because you said you see a chiropractor again, which I think is amazing. I mean, and as I've been seeing a chiropractor or chiropractors for years. So to me, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there's that sense of trust, right? Now,
yes,
because that to me would be, because if someone had a bad experience with anything, whether it was maybe a food item, or that athlete that maybe got injured, and then they're going back to that arena, or they find themselves in that situation, right? These triggers, right? So I want to know about you getting back in the saddle and saying, I think I want to go back to a chiropractor. So what was that like? And the reason why I'm asking this is not about nothing against or pro chiropractic. I personally, I love chiropractors, but my point is, I really want people to know that there's a process there, and you must have had to have broken through something to say, okay, I'm going to give it another try.
Yes. Well, that is a really valid question. And, first, I know that chiropractic care is very good for people, and it opens up the nervous system. And I knew years later, when I decided to go back, it was in Nashville, and there was a chiropractor that I truly trusted. I'd seen her work, and I trusted her so much And then we both have a very strong faith. And, you know, to be honest, she prayed and I prayed before she even put her hands on me. And I just said, let's do it. And and honestly, I said, listen to me. It's going to be okay, and you are going to do exactly what you're supposed to. So don't even think that there was something that ever happened to me. I want you to treat me as if I am like everyone else right now, and just feel what you need to feel and do what you need to do. And she just looked at me. She's like, I don't even know how you have this faith right now. I said, I just do. And I said, and I never want fear to hold me back from something. And some people may say, you know, I've had people say, like, that's ridiculous. You should have never done that. And I said, I trust so much in the people that I just feel, you know, I've watched their work, and things do happen, but I will never live in fear of holding myself back. Just like you said, from an athlete who got injured, you know, to people could have a food trigger. They could have something traumatic. They could have a bad relationship. Does that mean you'll never get in a relationship again in your life? Well, there's risk in everything. So it's just, and I think that's where the championship mindset is just, how are you going to put your mindset? Where are you going to put it, and how are you going to seek to continue to go through against all odds? And you have to, I have a strong faith. I believe God's got this, and I'm not going to do something necessarily stupid, but I'm not going to let fear hold me back. And I teach that, so I don't want to live that and not do it.
Well, now you know you've opened up a can of worms, right?
Oh, I did?
Well, you said you didn't want to do anything stupid, so I have to ask.
Yeah.
What's the dumbest thing you have done? You don't have to answer that.
Oh, well, let me think about it. Well, I mean, some people would say I went skydiving. People sometimes think that's stupid. I thought it was exhilarating and great. I love it. I guess stupid all depends on what people think. You know what? When I started my practice in 2008, I left being an executive of a healthcare company, making six-figure salary in the middle of a recession, and said, I'm going to start my own practice, and I feel very called to do this. I had limited, money that I had saved up, but I just took the leap of faith. People would call that stupid at that time and the timing of it, and maybe there would have been a better time. But you know what? I made it through it. Was it hard? Oh, sugar, yeah. It was really hard. But I think it was also exhilarating because I like the growth of things and trying. So, I don't know that there's anything stupid. I just think you learn from things and you just make the best of it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. Because that's kind of a world that I playing in both worlds, whether it's athletics or business, being trained as a psychologist, it's definitely a different world. But it's so interesting, what's, another man's trash is another man's treasure type thing.
Yes.
But, what's stupid is not necessarily stupid. It's just kind of like the perspective of it, And so what I'm realizing is, and I posted on something about it, and I was actually skiing or snowboarding, and I did a Facebook Live on the ski lift, and I was talking about normalize to neutralize, and I say that a lot, normalize to neutralize, and usually I say that in the context of your feelings so that people can just accept being scared and do what they have to do anyway or want to do anyway. But for the first time it hit me like, I was having a moment, I'm on a lift and it's a beautiful day, so I figured I'd go live. But that is the truth. Like the reason why I was able to jump a jump or put myself in harm's way, according to my sport, wasn't that because I was extra brave. That just was my normal, right? The reason, I don't know, Warren Buffett dealing with billions of dollars isn't a big deal because that's his normal. It's just math.
Right.
It's just line items and numbers and decimal points and good decisions or bad decisions and wins and losses. And you, right? It's just, whether it's, trauma, brain trauma, or helping a CEO or maybe you're at the Super Bowl. Normal is helping somebody kick butt for you.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I think what happens is we humans make things a big deal, and therefore, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to diminish the making the billions and sitting on and being on the big stage and none of that stuff. I'm not trying to diminish anyone's accomplishments for by no means. However,
No.
But I think that sometimes we build it up in our brains so big that it actually becomes this kind of, insurmountable thing that we can't have because it's such a big deal. No.
I fully agree with that, and it really is the perspective, and I just think continuing to put things into perspective helps you overcome fear. So people ask me all the time, how do you just walk in anywhere and just feel comfortable? You don't get nervous, or they're, whoever the person is, or they might be a billionaire, or how do you work with a billionaire, or how do you work with this athlete, or how do you work with this? And I just said, first of all, for me, I don't look at it that way, because to me, they're a human being, just as I am, just as you are. And there is something that they need help with where my gifting is going to be able to share with them. I'm never going to bring something that I can't deliver on. So it gives me that humble confidence of, I don't see it as something so huge that it's unattainable or I can't work with it. I just say, okay, if I'm being asked to be brought in, or even just a conversation when people go out and they're like, oh, I'm so nervous when I go into a place and I don't know who to talk to or what to say. And I said, just be you. And, we hear that a lot, but I truly mean it. Just be you. When you could show up being you and not anything else, and don't pretend, there is no fear there, because you know yourself better than anyone else. So what's there to be scared of? And if you have a gift that you've been given, no one else has that gift. So just show up bringing that, and try not to be anything else, because that's what trips us up. And then it keeps the perspective in check, where everyone is here to help everyone. So whether you happen to come from a bigger stage or you have more money in your account, it doesn't make you better than anyone else. It just gives you a larger platform and maybe more assets to deal with. But just to keep it back and ground it is that perspective that you're talking about. And then it doesn't seem so overwhelming.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder, because you said you might have a bigger bank account or bigger platform, and then when you said just be you, that actually triggered something in me, and I was thinking, I think I actually for some reason went to my son in school and me in school, and then even that United Airlines flight. I know this is supposed to be evergreen, blah blah blah, but whatever. But I think what we're talking about, or what came up for me, was compliance. And I think in every space, business, sport, different aspects of life, whether it's school or education, education and school could be the same thing, and they could be different, but it seems to be compliance. And even in social groups, socioeconomic groups, it gets to be like, because I like hip hop, I have to dress a certain way and act a certain way. Because I'm in college now, I have to talk a certain way, think a certain way, possibly dress a certain way. And I think what happens is, or because I'm a psychologist, I have to wear that stupid blazer with the patches on the elbows, whatever. I actually like those. But my point is, it's compliance, right? Can I comply with the outside world's perceived notions of what it is I'm supposed to be? And,
right.
And what happens is, I think we get really good at compliance, and then when we try, and then we actually end up not being good at, I'm not going to say breaking the rules, but we end up not being good at living outside of that, which is what's probably more natural to us. Whew!
Right.
I just went meta.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I feel that that's what you're saying. It's almost masking and acting in some way, because that compliance makes you to act a certain way that wasn't natural, because you're trying to fit in. So it's flipping the script and just going back to what's natural. I laugh all the time, because I'll come out on stage. Hip-hop's my first love. And
I know.
When you look at me, you'd be like,
you're on
no way.
Show.
Yeah. So I love it, because it's flipping the script, and I'm like, but that's what I'm comfortable in. I'm not going to, that's just part of who I am. Or when people, they'll try to put stereotypes based when they see you, and then when they find out that's not it and you just be you, it takes down all barriers, and it's like, oh, okay. But I think we need more people to stand up and be themselves and not play that role and not act into it and not to comply to what they think should happen. And they should just go to what they feel is them. Does that make sense?
And it does. And so here, even on like a deeper level, chances are you as the individual, I'm using air quotes, trying to comply to whatever it is, you're probably getting it wrong anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because you don't know technically what they think necessarily. I mean, we make our best guesses.
Right.
I'm sure Apple and big brands that do their research marketing, they do a great job for sure. However, at the end of the day, I mean, you walking into a building, you walking the stage, at the end of the day, I mean, you technically, like, you're already there and you're there for a reason. Right. And so I think that's I think the premise that we want to start on is like, wait, I'm here already. No matter where you go, you're with you. And so the question is to keep going down a more existential route is, why am I here? And it's gotta be it better be for a reason, but the beauty is you can make it be for a reason. That's what I like.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Yes.
So I don't know. We got kind of deep on the gold medal mindset for a quick minute. I know you probably weren't expecting this.
Well, I love it though, because sometimes you've got to go deep to really understand it, or just hear, because we could stay superficial on some of these, but if we don't go deep, it's like how do you apply it? You want to take it and know, how do I apply this? Everyone listening is going, okay, well, what does this really mean? So hopefully that helped.
No, well, here's the thing. I mean, we can only high five each other so much, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like high fives. They're great. I'll high five you in a minute if you get a strike and we're bowling for sure. But you can only do so many of those before and you can only start getting into skill sets or whatever it is, whatever tool you're using. But it's so funny. I mean, like, take the app world for instance. There's a I don't know how many millions of apps there are, but to help you organize, to help you become more productive, to mindful, all these different apps. But the truth is, really, once your priorities are in alignment with your character and values, you're probably going to get everything done that you want to get done.
Yes.
Regardless of app. It'll be like, oh, let me take my napkin and this pencil and scratch down these notes. And you can hold that in your pocket. And it's just as valuable as that, however many millions of dollars went into developing that app, or tens of thousands.
I think on a level too, which it's funny you're saying this, because I feel like this theme has been, especially the past few weeks, is simplifying. And I think a lot of times we're getting so bogged down from all the apps, all the options from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the different options that keep getting added, which are all amazing for everyone who uses them. I'm just saying, it gets to the point where there's so many options, it gets hard to know what you really want and then what you're going to pick. And apply that now to life. We add all of these shiny things and options and added pressures and added stuff that now you can't flow as freely. And once you start relieving some of those things and taking away and living simpler, you're like, oh my gosh, I could breathe. I mean, every time someone goes on vacation, they always come back and they're like, oh, it was so beautiful. And I always go, well, what'd you do? Well, we just chilled and we sat on the beach and, it was so simple. Man, it'd be great to live that simple life. And I said, so then do it. And it's like, oh, that's not realistic. You can't really do it. And
yes,
I
you
said,
can.
well, yeah, you can. You absolutely can. It's just on what level. You don't have to go and maybe live in that shack and, sell everything, but you could simplify your life. It's the metaphor for it. Do something that starts to get rid of all the stuff. And we collect a lot of things from mentally, physically, all of it. And you've got to detox, we do these cleanses all the time, but you've got to cleanse mentally, physically, spiritually, and you've got to start simplifying.
Well, it's what's in your diet. And it's funny, I when people join my program, I say it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Yeah.
But I find, even when I'm procrastinating, because I play the game too, full transparency.
Oh yeah, we all do.
You create like say you have something to write, or you have to prepare for something, a big talk or whatever your project is. I'll go clean my house, my room. I'll organize the garage, sweep it, maybe wash my car. I'll do all these things to get ready to do my work.
Yes.
Right? And so, ultimately making it more complex. And I think that simple isn't always easy. I mean, it's almost like the definition of not, right? Because I've built this thing up. It's a big deal now, so it can't be simple. Because simple means it's simple, and simple means it's on me to actually do it. So I've got to have all these things in order, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, check marks before I do my thing, so I can do it. And then if I don't get it, well, it was a big deal. It was really big anyway, and not that many people get it anyway. And it's not realistic to think that anyway. And I had all these obstacles in my way anyway. And then and then it kind of satisfies those lies that we've told ourselves as to why we're not leveling up, as you say.
Exactly. And I think if you said the definition, simple, it should just be simple is hard, but doable.
Exactly.
We're going to just change that in the encyclopedia, in the dictionary, now. But if once you start to get into it and practice how to keep simplifying, it keeps you from procrastinating a little bit less and less, because you start to get the momentum of, let me break this down. And I had a coach push me because I would try to, I wanted to put more into my programs or my speeches. And every time we'd meet, we'd come up with a grand idea, and then he'd work it until I came down to the point in maybe 1, 2, or 3 words. And that was how I was able to learn to speak without notes and speak more from the heart, and my PowerPoints and everything. My speeches are very simple in theory, but I know they're the exact things that we continue to keep tripping on. So I have to keep speaking on it. And we're all included in this, myself included, but I keep it so simple. And then it's real life stories and examples that I think make the most impact. But if you could keep breaking it down and having someone hold you accountable to keep working on that, it does get a little easier because we want to try to make it complex. But have someone holding you, like someone continues to push me, it makes it so that I have to make it simple, which then once I do, I'm like, oh, this feels so good. So on the other side of it, it's victory. It feels good.
Victory. I like that, because you don't hear that. You don't hear that term often. So I would say, so if anyone's listening, and since Darleen, you've actually you put it out there. You said, okay, how can I apply this? What can I do? I would say, at least what I'm getting from this conversation is, let's trade out the word busy and replace it with productive.
Yes.
Right? Because now I'm not spinning my wheels, acting in quotes, like I'm working. And then when I actually hit something, it moves. And so therefore, I don't necessarily need to go away on vacation, because I can actually put my feet up at home, at the house which I've overpaid for. Right. There we go.
Yep. It sums it all up.
I think, but I, in your words, I want the Darleen Santore spiced, simple stage version of that.
I think every day, get up and show up, and not just get up and walk into your life and let your day run you. Show up and start to say, how can I, be more real, more my authentic self? How can I simplify things so that I could break down my day so it feels like, again, I could run it, it doesn't run me. And then the other part might be, and who's going to help in my circle weekly to keep challenging me, to keep getting so that I could be more efficient, productive, flow better, and be happier. Because that's the outcome, is you end up being happier when you do this stuff. Who's that accountability partner in your life? I mean, here we are talking sports, and you have the coaches, and you have the players, and you have the people around you when you're, it's playoffs for the NBA, and it's great, and it's down to the last few seconds, and who's pushing, and who's going to have that determination? Well, you have so many people around you, and the energy and the momentum. Create that in your life, because this is the greatest game we're ever going to win. I love the Super Bowl. I love the NBA Finals. I love the Stanley Cup. I love it all. But ultimately, this is the greatest game, and how are we going to have victory, and how are we going to win? And it's going to be all the things that you see in sports that work that you've got to apply to your life right now. So purpose-driven performance is the way to go, simplifying it, creating a purpose, showing up authentically you, simplifying it all, and then getting the people around you to hold you accountable to keep the momentum going. And then when you're down in those low times, it's going to pick you back up. Nice.
You know what I took out of that as well was that you ask questions of yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's immediately what stood out to me was that you ask questions of yourself, and they weren't just kind of fluffy. What am I going to have for lunch today? And oh my gosh, is so and so going to have an attitude when I show up at the office? I mean, they were right. They're gut, what I call gut check questions, right?
Right.
It's the questions that put you on the spot to actually do something.
Yes. And because that's how we're really going to go deep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Be deep.
Yeah.
So as you may have heard on this show, there are a few questions that I ask everybody.
Okay.
Or as some people might say, body. So.
Yeah. I like that.
I don't know how you would
I hear the song
that.
In the background right now. That was good.
I don't know how. Yeah. We're not getting tipsy though in the gold medal mindset though. We're going to keep.
That's after.
We're going to save that for the after party. That said, So I have a couple questions for you, and okay. I'll begin with one, and then the second one is really the one that I ask everyone. But well, I'll ask you both of them. What would be your biggest loss and your biggest win so far?
My biggest loss. Let me think about that. I feel that my biggest loss was that I didn't take the leap of faith that I did earlier, and that maybe I didn't learn from my mistakes faster earlier on in my life. So I think it was a loss, because if I had learned faster from the mistakes I had made, I might not have made them again, and I would have gotten further. And then that I didn't, it's through time that you learn to get the courage to take the risk. And I think that while probably I took them early for most, I would have liked to take them even sooner so that I could have gotten to where I am. But I also learned that timing's everything, and that these opportunities mold you, and then it's right on time. So that's how I would answer that one.
Okay. Biggest win to date, because we know you have several 100,000 more wins ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I think that wins, honestly, when I look back at the people's lives that have been helped, and I could see them rising, I look back and I think, wow, how, that's a lot of people that I think about, and that's a win, because every time someone wins, I win, because I could see another life that got better or reached their goal. So that's my biggest win, is every time another person, one more person gets to where they want to be.
Nice. All right. Mm-hmm. Last question. What's not really the last question, but it's the last question. What's one thing you wish everyone knew?
I really wish everyone knew that on the other side of fear is all of your everything you want is on the other side of fear, And I really wish people would really apply that, and that it's so hard sometimes to take that leap, to feel what's going to, I know, and you know from working with people, it could feel like. And I just wish people would take the leap earlier. They would risk getting more uncomfortable so that they could feel what they want to feel. And they would rip the Band-Aid, and they would do the things that they know so much in their heart would get them where they want to be, but they're so scared. And I just want you to know and hear that it is worth it every time to take that chance, to take the risk, and to jump over that valley, that what you feel is a trap is not. It's to get over to the other side, because on that other side is everything you want in life. But you've got to push through it, and it's never going to be comfortable. You get the stomach aches, the hives, you're scared, you get nauseous. But my gosh, when you do it, you just feel so much better. If there's someone in your life that you wish you could just say what you want to say to, and I mean a good thing, not bad, go say it. If there's a job that you've been wanting to do, or if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, take that chance. If you want to go skydiving, go skydiving. If you want to just maybe learn a new hobby or travel to another country, go do it. Stop waiting to live and stop letting fear run you. You start running this. And so I just wish everyone would hear this and apply it, because you and I know every time we help someone through that bridge, including ourselves, it gets better. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, and it doesn't mean it comes out perfect, but you learn from that growth. Just like lifting, you have to rip the fibers, they build, and you get bigger. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what life does. So my message is go, leap, take that chance, say what you want to say, and don't live life with regrets. Live saying, I'm so glad I did, rather than I wished I had. Damn.
All right. Now I'm making a list of other people who can host this show. You just made the list. By the way, you're only the second person on that list, so that's good.
Oh, that's a compliment. Thank
Not
you.
That you would host it, but that I feel confident in just walking away. Like, I could have walked away and went to the bathroom, made a sandwich. That was awesome. But
well, I'm just grateful to have the chance to, the more we keep spreading some golden nuggets we've all learned, hopefully it helps.
Yes, for sure. So there's a couple things I do. I want to do some housekeeping, because you're involved in some important stuff.
Okay.
And I know it's Global Pay It Forward Day.
Yes.
That's you're the USA ambassador for that. So I want you to tell people about Pay It Forward Day, and I also, after that, I want you to tell people how they get in touch with you and see you and hear you and get more from you.
Well, okay, thank you. Yes, April 28th, which is next Friday, is Global Pay It Forward Day. This has started 11 years ago. Some of you may have seen the movie or read the book, and it's been the movement that's been created since then. And I oversee it for the United States, which means all of you listening, we need your help, because you're part of Team USA the moment you get involved. It's all volunteer, and literally the whole mission is just to spread kindness around the world. And on that day is when 81 countries come together. This year we'll have 81, which is amazing. Last year we did 10 million acts of kindness. We're hoping to do more than that. And all it takes is you sharing about this opportunity. People tweet and share on the news and all over about the craziest stuff. And I have to say, will you stand with us on April 28th and say, I stand for kindness, and I will be a part of Global Pay It Forward Day, and I'll go do something kind and stand for kindness. Will you? That's all it takes. And what we're trying to do for an image is just have you draw a heart on your hand, with a picture saying, I stand for kindness, and I'll be taking part. Will you? And ask people to go do something. But then I encourage you to go and do something that day. The ripple effect, people say, oh, well, I'll do it that day, or, I generally do it. But I'm telling you, what happens is you start doing it. Could you really think about 10 million acts happening on one day? Well, it happens. And that's why the ripple effect goes all year, and why you've seen people pay it forward at Starbucks, or, maybe picked up a meal for you, or helped you out at your house, or gave you their service for free. That's the generosity that we all want to have throughout our world, and it be a daily thing that you do every day. We're just trying to instill this, and the fun of it is, well, it's a day, it's a lifestyle that we hope you live every day. So if you could share on your social media channels, or, in your business, and say, April 28th, and use the hashtags, hashtag pay it forward day, hashtag stand the number 4 kindness. We could track those. And you could find more out on PIF Day USA. That stands for Pay It Forward. So PIFDayUSA.com. And we have an Instagram that we just started this year just to get some people to put on it. But again, this has been going on this is our 11th year. We have 81 countries. You could be a part of it. And I would be honored if you could help so we could show the world that we are an amazing country filled with kindness, wanting to serve. And then how to reach me. My website is CoachDar.com, and my Instagram and Twitter is at CoachDar.com. I share inspirational posts every day, some fun stuff, some tips. So please go check that out and follow. And I ask if you like it. I just pay the inspiration forward and ask other people to come along, because I have found that just by putting posts up that I feel called to put up every day and share something, it affects people's lives. So it might not be for you, but it might be for someone that you want to share it to, and the wisdom. And you could always, on my website, find ways to connect with me. I'd love to come and speak or coach or just help you out in any way I can.
There we go.
Yes.
Now that's how you close it out like a pro, people. Well, Coach Dar, I do appreciate it. I look forward to the day where we can possibly share a stage, or
so do I,
and meet face to face at some point soon.
Yes.
Yes. But thank you so much for being on the show. That was awesome.
Thanks so much for having me. And anytime that I could help out, let me know. And I look forward to us sharing the stage together, because I want to feel your inspiration too.
Thank you.
All right, Jason, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks for taking the time to mine for gold on the Gold Medal Mindset podcast. Let's keep the conversation going on Twitter at RealDrJRich, or on the web at drjasonrichardson.com. That's drjasonrichardson.com. Take care and have a great day. Gold Medal Mindset is brought to you courtesy of IPD Seminars, motivating the motivated with a 6-hour intensive training from leaders in business, sport, and life. Make an impact, live with purpose, and fulfill your destiny. Learn the mindset and best practices to crush any limit. Visit IPDseminars.com for more information.